Hoodie last week, white suit this week. I like it. There we go. There we go. We're going to go straight to questions, everybody. We go with that?
Yeah, the offensive line last night we talked to all the guys, and they talked about just kind of the challenge you guys presented them after the Texas game. Can you take us through what that was like, I guess, encouraging those guys after that performance and how they played on Saturday against South Carolina?
Yeah, the first part of it was just showing the film and highlighting the things that were good and that were up to standard, but then you have to highlight the things that aren't either, that aren't the standard of how we want to play on offense and how we want to play at Oklahoma. And those guys had great humility, taking the coaching with it, and then accepting the challenge of just mindset and mentality of what that position takes. And it was constant throughout the week. It was constant in walkthroughs, us demanding it, the leaders of that group demanding it, carried over into practice, and they took it to the game too. So all the credit to them. They accepted the challenge. They worked their butt off, and they played well on Saturday.
Ben, sticking with the offensive line, we talked to Heath last night.
Yeah.
And just talked about how he's getting more comfortable after coming off the injury. Just what have you seen from him this season, and how much he's improved?
He's improved a lot, and offensive line's a developmental position, because he ain't that old. He's really not. He was hurt throughout spring ball, and so the more time you get, especially at a very developmental position like offensive line, the more reps you get, the more continuity you get with the guy to your left and the guy to your right, because he's a guard. The more continuity you get with that, it only helps everything. You just get more comfortable, you get more confident, which leads to playing faster, and Heath's done a great job of that. And Heath gets challenged just as much as anybody by Coach Biedenbow, by myself, by Coach Venables, and he hasn't tapped out. He continues to keep on getting better, and he knows that there's stuff that he can still get better at, but it's a very developmental position, and the more reps, the better. So.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about Xavier Robinson. I mean, I know he was banged up early in the year, but what's it say that he's stuck with it, strung together some good practices, and become a guy that you can trust?
Yeah, X is a talented ball player. He has a really awesome skill set because he's a big kid, but whenever he gets out, he has really soft hands. He can catch well, has a great catch radius, but he's strong, and he's actually really explosive and fast for how big he is too. And just being able to be healthy and consistently practice, I think it just does wonders for him as a player. But he's been great. He's been great in meetings. He's been great in our pass protection walkthroughs and pass protection in general. He's been great. And so it's just being able to string along consistency for him that he's done a really good job of, and I think has helped elevate his play. So I'm really proud of X.
Ben, I'm not looking for game specific, but I'm curious, since Brent's been at the coordinator gig so long and you're still relatively young in your career, I know it's defense and offense, but are there any things that you've picked up from him just in, I don't know, the way he does what he does, prepares the guys, anything like that since you've been alongside him?
The thing about Coach Venables is that there's zero stone left unturned. Like he gets those guys ready probably better than anybody I've ever seen in my life, just from, how they walk through, how they practice, and it's 4th and 1. I've said it before about him, but it's 4th and 1 down there all the time. He doesn't let anything go by the wayside, and I really try to be that way. But even being around him, I think, has elevated that aspect of coaching in my own self and my own philosophy. But he's a great leader to the defensive staff. He's a great leader to the players over there. And so anything that I can pull from him in that realm too, because, the biggest thing about this job is getting the kids to play hard, right? Schemes all cool and everything, and execution really helps. But the harder you can get kids to play, more good happens than bad. And I think he is mastered that. He does an unbelievable job for our whole team of motivating them to play hard, but specifically the defense. I mean, those guys bring it. Doesn't matter if it's a good on good period, 7-on-7, a walkthrough, a scout period. Like, I later on in the weeks, once I get kind of like the game plan, the hay in the barn, but the game plan's pretty well set. Like, I go and watch Tuesday and Wednesday practice of the defense. One, I want to see, all right, what are they going to do this week? Like, oh my God, I feel sorry for that guy. Like, but I really see just to see how these guys practice. And I love pulling clips. I love pulling, some of our offensive players into my office and being like, look how hard these guys are going right here, man. Like it's not luck, and so that's something that I've really pulled from him is just his 4th-and-1 mentality, the ability to lead men, and the ability to get these players to play really, really hard.
Ben, this might be a shot in the dark, and if it is, that's fine. If the answer is not really, it's okay. But as a young offensive guy, the last few years, looking at what everybody's doing, did Lane Kiffin ever catch your eye? And what have you, if so, what have you thought about his career as an offensive mind in this game?
Yeah, he has a really impressive track record just throughout his entire career of offensive football. And, I've been asked before kind of what's my philosophy on the offensive position. I think you have to constantly evolve. And I think that goes with watching what, the best in the country do on a weekly basis or a yearly basis. And so, absolutely, I've sat there and I've studied stuff that Coach Kiffin has done. He does a great job. Their offense coordinator, Weiss, does a great job too. So yeah, I mean, he's had an awesome career with offenses, and there's always things that I think you can pull, and maybe does it fit what we do or does it not? You have to decide that. But he's been really successful.
Yeah, Ben, against South Carolina, we didn't see you guys throw the ball down the field a ton, but you guys were able to run the ball and still move the ball that way.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go into this weekend, what's the balance between, finding something that works and sticking with it, like the run game, versus, being aggressive, taking shots through the air?
Yeah, it's a game-by-game basis, You ultimately have to do what calls to win the game. And sometimes you don't know that until you really get into the game. I've had plenty of games in my career where I went into it thinking I was about to do this the entire time and complete 180 because the defense does, something different. Cool. Hey guys, we're going to go do this. And we've won plenty of games doing that. And, but it's just a game by game basis. It's the flow of the game. But you definitely want to be efficient in both, whatever you decide to do. If it's running the ball or throwing the ball down the field, the biggest thing is you want to be efficient and move the ball down the field.
How important was Saturday, just running the ball like that, the way you guys have, just carrying that momentum, giving you guys that kind of baseline, and having that momentum?
I've said before, running the ball, it makes everything easier. It makes number 10's life easier. It makes my life easier as a play caller. It makes those receivers' lives easier. And whenever you are able to run the ball, believe it or not, it actually makes the offensive line's life a lot easier too. So, it's important, establishing the line of scrimmage and being efficient in the run game. It's important to winning any game. And it's no different moving forward.
Yeah, Ben, you praised Tory's consistency time and time again. Yeah. Was there a moment, just looking back, like, even though he's a true freshman, I know he's going to be someone that's going to have a pretty big part of this game plan for this season.
Did I know that there was a moment?
Yeah.
You're just saying in the entirety that he's been here?
Yeah, like with the summer, preseason camp. Like,
and in spring ball, yeah, I think we ran like an outside zone, and he circled the edge and went down the sideline, and I was like, all right, kid can roll. And then later on in that same spring ball, I think it was Kip Lewis blitzed in the A-gap, and Tory stepped up and picked it up. Like, didn't flinch at all. Did a great job picking it up. We were able to get the throw off. And, those are just two, like, examples of stuff where I was like, yeah, this kid's ready to play ball. You talked about his consistency, and I know I've talked about it before. Like, those weren't just one-off deals. It constantly doing the right thing. And when he does mess up, okay, he doesn't usually make the same mistake twice. And so I think that speaks to a level of maturity for a kid so young too, to be able to take coaching, understand a mistake, and then fix it. And he does that at a high level. But he just has a great, I don't know what the word I'm trying to say here is. I ain't that smart, but he's got a great, I want to say mindset, but there's another word. He just has a great way that he carries himself, and his process, his preparation, his gameplay. And so, Tory's a stud.
JaVonnie Gibson had 5 receptions in the last game. He seems to be getting rolling a bit. How are you seeing just the connection between him and John developing?
Yeah. Well, you could really see the connection developing in the spring and a really good trust between those two. But, I think it just speaks to JaVonnie and how he's handled himself. He's been awesome. He's come in for extra work, craving extra study, and solely because he wants to make sure he's doing the right thing at the right time. That builds trust, and that builds great dependability. And so just proud of JaVonnie, how he's handled everything, how he's handled his process, his recovery process, how he's handled getting ready for games. He's been doing really, really well with it.
Yeah, Eddie Pierre-Louis starting to roll a little bit, feels like. Can you talk about just his growth of just maturity?
Yeah.
He's always been a guy that played with an edge.
Yeah.
Got him in trouble a little bit sometimes on the field, but the balance of just the maturity of his, I guess, the mental aspect of learning the offense and being able to do what he needs to do while keeping that edge and not being just too overzealous, I guess, on the field. Yeah,
well, Eddie's a fun kid to be around. Like, he's got kind of a bubbly personality. Like, he is really, really fun to be around him. Then whenever you step on the football field, I mean, he's one of the more aggressive guys on the team, and that kid plays hard. Like, he plays football very, very hard, and at that position, it's something that you have to do, but he has a great mindset of how to approach practice, how to approach inside drill and pods drill. He attacks it, and so the biggest thing that I can say about Eddie is he's an awesome teammate with a great personality, and that dude just plays really, really hard. So whenever he gets his moments in the game and he gets his opportunities, I mean, that translates over, and you see the strain and you see the effort, and I think that's special about Eddie. I think he does a really good job with that.
Right side, second row, Ryan Chapman.
Talking to John, he's talked about this a couple of times, that not that he doesn't trust his teammates, but sometimes he has this, like, he puts the weight of the world on his shoulders type of mentality. How do you balance that out as far as keeping him in check sometimes and just staying grounded? And how much does a performance like this last week, where you didn't have to throw for 270 and you still have a comfortable road win, help kind of build that trust and foundation of, like, yeah, everybody's got it, you don't have to do everything type thing?
Yeah, for starters, John, it's like if you said, oh man, that's something that hinders him, it is that. And I don't think any coach in the world would be like, I don't love that about him, because I do love that about him. He cares, and he has so much pride in this team and this offense, and believes in himself so much that he does want to carry the weight of the world, But John is really, really good at taking a step back and understanding that if he just does his job, really good things happen. And, I thought he did that really well last week. I thought his eyes, his footwork, his decision-making was so good. And it was nothing more than doing his job. I mean, literally nothing more than doing his job. And just proud of him. He is a selfless guy. Dude was, what did he throw for, like 150 yards? Like, we won the ball game. And he was fired up about it in the locker room after. He's a terrible dancer, but he was kind of getting some dance moves in and stuff like that in the locker room after the game. Like, that's awesome football. That's awesome culture. It's an awesome locker room. And, John, he's always going to be that player that he's going to do his job, but whenever the moment calls, he usually has a pretty good gauge on when, okay, hey, I'm gonna go do winning. I'm going to go do what it takes to win the game right here. And he's always had a really good gauge on that. But it's always just making sure that he's true to himself as a player and doing his job. So.
Circling back on JaVonnie, John mentioned last night that he spent like an hour and a half next to you on the plane just going over plays on the way to Columbia.
Yeah.
Is that something players often do with you, or is that something that like JaVonnie like specifically did? And like, what does that say about JaVonnie's kind of want to get back to where he was in the spring before the injury?
Yeah, the biggest thing, if a player ever wants to watch extra film with me, I ain't gonna tell him no, like, because that's a level of buy-in that I think is huge for development. And again, JaVonnie just he wanted to make sure he was prepared, and he was. He went to the game and no busts, was where he was supposed to be. There's a few things I pointed out to him kind of after, like, hey, I need a little bit more strain right here from you. All right, but he knew what to do, and it was a fun plane ride over there. It was cool. Normally I don't know, watch 300 or take a nap or something, but I got to watch a little bit more ball against the competition with a really good player, really talented kid, and a great kid who just wanted to be better. And so that was cool. I got to sit in the middle. Usually I have my seat. There's an open seat, and then we got Blaze Benson, who's with us, who's 6'5", 240. Well, for the plane ride there, it was JaVonnie, who ain't a little guy. It was Blaze right here, and I was crammed in the middle. So it was awesome. It was a fun flight over there. So, no, JaVonnie, he's really intentional with his work, and anytime a kid wants to get extra work, it'd be coaching malpractice of me not to want to give them what they want on that. So.
We're running out of time. Last question, James Hill.
The Ole Miss defensive coordinator has been around for a while, so they don't know how much you can learn from just watching everything that he does. But you kind of do a deep dive and tell us what you think about Ole Miss and defense.
Yeah, on defense, their defensive front I think is really good. They have 2 D tackles. This one guy is massive. He's like 6'8", like 330. Like, dude is huge, and he has a really good motor about him. But their front is good. They play physical. They fly around. And then on the back end, they do a lot of really good stuff back there. Those guys are well coached. They have the ability to make plays on the football. And so and I think that matches up with kind of who he's been as a coordinator the entire time. He's really good, been really successful, and every single week it just shows up that these guys are ready to come play football. And I think that's a mark of a really good coach. If you get your guys consistently every week to play hard and ready to play ball within your scheme, then that's impressive to me, and he seems to do that. Yeah, Boomer.